I think I should put some lipstick on too.
Should you?
Yeah.
Want to borrow it?
It would be. I want to get the glitter stuff though. Actually, you know what's intriguing is those lipstick stickers.
Uh-huh.
You ever put those on?
No, but I've seen them. They're different. I know.
I mean, it's kind of no different than eyelashes, right?
Yeah, I guess. I think it's more noticeable.
Could you see me with some lipstick on?
I think you should let me put glitter lips on you. That would be super
that's what
fun.
I was saying.
I would
I'll
like
have to
that.
jazz it up one night with my wife.
I have a really hard time, because I love cameras so much. I got to remember to look at you.
You can look at the
Because I'll
camera.
be like, hi, everybody.
You look good.
Hi.
You look good.
Welcome back to another episode of Small Town Grit. We have our special guest with us today, Melissa Hager from the comedy series. Welcome, Melissa.
Hey, thanks for having me. Special is the key word here.
Why is that?
We can't tell those jokes anymore. Never
Man,
mind.
I actually saw you last night at Cork Pine, and I didn't even recognize you with that hair color.
Well, I have two. Oh, it's the hair color?
It was the hair color that
Okay.
threw me. I was like, who's that young
Usually
whippersnapper
it's because
over
I
there?
look homeless. That's why. I have two speeds. Either I'm going on stage or I look like a person picking up cans at the state fair.
Well, that's all right. I wouldn't even know it was you, but your mom came over, and I'm like, what is Sue doing here? And
We took a little stroll through my hometown of Millington, and then
just on a whim.
just on a whim, and then
I saw the light tower.
Yeah,
or the water tower.
The water
I should say.
tower is
Yeah,
a
what was-
smiley face. How cool is that?
What's the other concrete things in front there?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
I have no clue. That's probably Hoffa's bodies under there. I don't know.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know what's going on. They're
Millington
kinda
has
sketchy.
secrets. I don't know if you know this, but
Yeah, but Millington has a new Mexican restaurant, huh?
I know. How cool.
Have you been there yet?
I have not, but I am excited to go. I've heard nothing but
Guys,
great
Yeah.
things.
It's
For those
so
that
good
don't
and
know, Don
authentic.
Felipe
It's awesome?
in
Yes,
Millington.
it's really good.
We go to the one in Clio.
Okay. Yeah, because it's a chain, kind of.
I think it's become one.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it's-
I
That's
love-
awesome.
I love Don Felipe's.
So I heard I know that's an old bank, but I heard they took the vault and made it into like a private dining experience.
Oh, cool.
So you can go in the vault and eat.
That sounds like a dinner experience that we need to.
We should do that.
Yeah, I think so.
We should go in the vault in Millington.
Together.
So you're from Millington.
I am from Millington. We're doing this so close to home and so locally here on your podcast that I'm like, what can I share and what can I share? Because in my act on stage, I make fun of Millington. And I know some of them
Well, I
have
think you
heard
can
it, and they're like, well, that's pretty true. And I'm like,
I was
yeah,
you
it
can
is.
probably make fun of every little community in your own way.
Yeah.
I mean, we are the weed capital of the state,
Right.
So
Right. Your weed shops outnumber your churches, which is quite an accomplishment. It is. It's really.
I don't know if the city manager wants to put that feather in his cap, but unfortunately, that's what it's come to be right now. So you got 2 sons and a husband.
Yes, I do. I got a family. A matter of fact, babysitter didn't show up. They're locked in the car right now. So hopefully
should
we
bring 'em
won't
in.
be too long. I'm just kidding.
Oh,
Wow, did you see the look on her
yeah,
face?
she was like shocked.
Go get them.
No, they're pretty self-sufficient.
Man, didn't your mom ever leave you in the car to run into the store?
You know, we had a contractor dinner the other day, and I remember going to buy cigarettes for my mom. Mm-hmm. And so that dates us a little bit.
Yeah.
And the guys were like, yeah, my mom used to write a note, and then I rode my bike up to the gas station, and I bought cigarettes, and I brought them back to my mom. Yeah.
That's funny. That's funny. No, that's a thing. And I say that because it's funny, but people get really sensitive about it. And I grew up on a farm, so I don't have like the attachment to animals, like some people do, especially in current times. So it's just crazy to me because if you go through, like a Dollar General parking lot and there's a dog locked in a car, everybody freaks out now. Like that's the thing,
Yeah.
So it's wild because, a farm girl like me, I'll go by and I'm like, oh, slow roasted, my favorite.
So
Okay.
what kind of...
Let's not get you canceled.
Did you have animals on the farm?
Yeah, we had pigs and cows and chickens.
Oh, okay.
So we had, and some stray cats and a couple dogs that were dropped off.
I saw an old clip of you. Mm-hmm. I don't know how old are you, probably 12 or something like that. Did you bring a pig to school?
Yep, I had a couple famous pigs, actually. Did you see it on the news? The
Yeah,
old
it was-
news
it was
clip?
on the news clip, yeah.
That was Sally, my famous pig. She was one of them. She actually got in a couple tabloids, actually, if you can believe that.
I doubt I wouldn't pass anything by you, but let alone your pigs. So.
So Sally was a fair pig that was too heavy. Even leading up to the fair, I had made her so tame. She just walked around the yard like a dog. Mm-hmm. She was just that great of a pet. And so when we went to the fair, I was like, I got this in the bag this year. And she was too heavy and got sent back home. And I was just so upset. And I had put so much time into her that my backup fair pig was just an it just sucked. And he even looked at me like, what? Now you expect me to do what that bitch has been doing?
Yeah.
Actually, can we swear? I probably shouldn't be.
You're good to go.
Sorry.
Yeah, we'll let it slide.
We got beeping abilities here.
We do. Yeah.
Anyway, so
Maybe I will.
I talked my dad into keeping her instead of getting rid of her. So we had Sally for, I think, about 8 or 9 years. And she, at that point, when she got on the news, she had gotten to where she couldn't really have many pigs anymore. She was having a hard time walking. And St. Paul's, the Lutheran school I went to in Millington, they were having a fundraiser to put in a computer lab. You remember when we went to school and there was no computers there? Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
That's how old we are, Corey.
I know.
God. So they decided, they asked my dad, we were the only pig farmers, they asked my dad if they could do a kiss the pig. Like if they filled this thing with money, the students, the principal had to kiss a pig. Nice. And he's like, I got just the lady for you. So I had gotten Sally all dolled up. I washed her. She had a bow tie on. I painted her hooves pink. And we took the trailer, the stock trailer, and cleaned it out and put Sally's limo on the side.
That's awesome.
And all the kids got to come outside in the playground area. And they let Sally out. And they were so freaked out when my dad opened the gate because they thought this pig was just going to come running out. You know, by that time, she was 800 pounds and slow. So slow. Even the Vassar cops could catch her. I mean, she was slow. So anyways, it was so fun. The principal kissed her. The pastor ended up having to kiss her. And then then Sally got taken off her. We sold her, and she ended up being part of that fundraiser too.
Oh, okay.
But that was like her last hurrah, so it hurt a little when they reposted that. I was like, oh, Sally, gosh. So I had emotional support animals before they were a thing. I don't know.
Maybe.
Because it still stirs up a feeling inside of me.
So how'd you get involved into this comedy show, this comedy series that you created? I mean, I always give you like huge kudos. I'm like, who would ever thought that you could...
I don't know. This is crazy. So my grandparents, and this is a long time ago, I was in my 20s. It was their 50th wedding anniversary. And the grandchildren, which was me and all my cousins, were in charge of putting on some kind of entertainment. And my grandma and grandpa Kelly are the coolest, awesomest people. And they have all these quirky things they've done with us our whole life. So I thought we could put like a little play together and reenact some of this stuff, you know? Nobody would do anything with me. They were all acting shy and bashful. And so I called up a couple of my aunts and uncles and I said, hey, what if I roast grandma and grandpa?
You did a grandparents roast? Get out of here.
And they're like, I don't think grandpa will like that. I said, but grandma will like it. And she's really the decision maker on the presents at Christmas. So let's do it. And it was just, I called some of their family, got some teenage secrets that nobody had ever known about, and just went up there. It was so funny because I remember my Uncle Mike had a karaoke machine and it had a microphone hooked to it. And I'm not joking, the cord was maybe 2 foot long. So the more I got excited, and I just yanked the thing right off the table a couple times because I forgot, I just didn't have much cord. So I was supposed to be up there about 10, 15 minutes. It ended up being 40 minutes of hilarious storytelling. I wish I would have recorded it, but after that, a bunch of family came up to me and said, you should do stand-up comedy. And I was like, what? That's not a real job. You can't do that. And lo and behold, it is. It's a real job. And so I had gotten married, started a family, like 10 years went by. Nothing, didn't do a single thing. And a different friend of mine, Carla Hurd, called me and she said, hey, I'm retiring from the candle business. I want to have a little party. Would you roast me? And I was like, how does this keep coming up? That's crazy. I was like, sure. Well, when I kind of told people that we mutually knew, they're like, are you going to tell jokes too? Because that'd be really fun. And I was like, well, I didn't even think about that. Let me call the birthday girl and her retirement thing. And so we ended up making a full-blown show out of that. Again, no experience. I'd never even been to a comedy show. When I was little on the farm, I had a cassette player, like the, Walkman.
Yeah.
And I had a Bill Engvall CD, Here's Your Sign. And I listened to it so much, I ended up having to get another one because I wore it out. But I thought he was like a paid actor. Like, you get a script and you memorize it and then you do that. So I didn't know it was a real job. And after that second roast, now I'm in my 30s, my mom took me to a comedy show at Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle in Royal Oak. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what? This is a job and this is a thing? Like, how come we don't have any of these up by us?
Yeah.
So I really was clueless. And I talked to all the comedians after the show, and I was like, I'm kind of funny, but you guys are super funny. How do I get you guys to come up? I'm in northern Michigan. Well, 2 of them completely blew me off, and the one guy stayed in contact with me and literally walked me through booking a show and putting it together, and he was the headliner. I was the opener. Our first weekend was at Fisher Hall in Frankenmuth. I booked it for one night and just kind of was like, let's do this. And it sold out so fast, we added another show, and then we ended up adding a Friday show to the 2 Saturday shows. They were all sold out, and that was my clue. We need that up here.
Mm-hmm.
It should be a thing.
Yeah.
So then I was like, okay, so who's your funny friends? The headliner we had that night. I was like, I need a list of people because we're definitely doing this again. But I think the key is for me, I was so blown away by what I saw at Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle, which is, number 3 in the whole nation when it comes to comedy clubs, for those of you that don't know. And they have a long-standing reputation for having some of the best of the best of the best there. I mean, Tim Allen used to go there just to work out material. Dave Coulier, all them guys, they would just pop in because they knew that was a good stage to be on. So from the beginning, I wanted to do shows like that. And I got to meet Mark Ridley early on and told him how inspired I was by him. And he's like, where do you live? And I told him, and he's like, okay, point at it.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh yeah, she's so far north. Because I didn't even understand that I might be copycatting or infringing on him or anything. And we've actually become so good as business people. Like some of his more famous acts, that's how we've gotten him up here, because he's like, hey, I got him for the weekend, but if you have something during the week, go ahead. You can use him. You're far enough away, totally different audience. And so that's been insane, because there was a point for the comedy series where like comedy seemed to be popping up all of a sudden all over the place. And I was like, man, just let me do it, guys.
Yeah.
Just let me do it. But I will tell you, shows are very differently. They're all run very differently. They're all put together very differently. The level of comics in the show are all very different. Prices of tickets are very different. And a lot of comedians are running around doing it as a hobby for fun. So they don't care if at the end of the night they got $5 and a free plate of food. And I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to feed a family. So we've just stuck to that mantra of it's a professional lineup and you are going to leave. Like, if you don't laugh with the deepest parts of your guts for at least 30 seconds, and then you get a little break, then another 30 seconds, it doesn't change you. It doesn't help you. Medicine is crazy. I mean, there's a pill for everything, but laughter really is the best medicine. That people say that and it's like, okay. No, it's true. Mm-hmm. It's really true. And if you don't get that deep belly laugh, it doesn't create those good endorphins. So when you just hire anybody to be in a comedy show, like Corey, who's like, oh, I think I'm funny, why don't you put me in? I'm like, okay, sure, sometime.
Yeah. No, I really did come to Melissa and said, you know what, I got some material. And I was like, I said, I work with a bunch of these contractors, and we got stories every day. Uh-huh. But then I'm like, well, how do I tell these audience this story? Mm-hmm, and that's where it becomes a little tough. Yeah. Because you gotta
relate to everybody.
Yeah.
But remember when I told you, I said we should sit down and write together and go through them, because we could do, work on some punchlines. Mm-hmm. And sometimes your stories have to become a little untrue to be super funny. Sometimes.
You've done a few other things other than just the comedy part. Mm-hmm. You've done this drag queen bingo.
Yeah. So
is that still a thing, or is that just it kind of comes and goes?
Yeah, well, it's
like
new.
How do you audition for that?
I like why is he asking?
I don't know.
Great news.
We talked about the old glitter lipstick.
I guess I need to, my 2 top queens, maybe they should be in here for an audition. We could do a makeup class. It'd be fun.
Yes.
So Melissa Hager, the comedian, has now 8 years of experience getting on stage and working with not only just some of Michigan's best. I mean, we have great headliners all throughout Michigan, but even in the surrounding states. So I've learned a lot, and I've been able to really work hard on getting funnier. I listened to some of my early stuff, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they had to sit through that. I feel so bad. You mentioned earlier the glitter lips. That's something I do on stage a lot. The glitter lips were actually born from a really bad show that got awkward because I was doing so horrible. And I came up with the glitter lips, and from there on, nobody would boo me. Because they're like, oh, well, she tried. At least she's fun to look at. It's horrible. But as I have grown as a comedian, I haven't been able to be in all the comedy series shows locally, because now I get to work at Mark Ridley's, and I get to go to, one night stands in Waterford and Chicago. I'm doing a comedy show next month in Texas, and I'm going in June to Florida to a big comedy club that I got into. So I'm not here all the time, which means these weekends still need something fun to do, because even though the comedy series started at Fisher Hall, now the comedy series has 40 different bars and restaurants that we rotate through through northern Michigan.
Yeah.
And it's a really big night for them. That makes me super happy. As a business owner, it should not be all about what do we get out of it. It should be beneficial mutually. So these business owners that have these huge nights, we always promote come early and eat. There's a ticket price involved. You're going to have a great show, and they just come back and come back and come back. It's like a pop-up shop, So I went to Soaring Eagle. Me and my husband like to play cards a little bit, and there was a drag queen show going on in the one bar, and we wandered in there because we were both losing, and I was like, we need to take a break. And it was so fun, and I laughed my tail off. I mean, if you're going to be marketed under the comedy series, it has to be funny. It's not going to be just any kind of entertainment. It was hysterical. They have jokes, and they're fun to watch, and it's fascinating. And so I kind of did the same thing as I did at Ridley's. I just talked to all the performers, and I found out real quick who was cool and who wasn't. Not everybody in that world's cool either, I can tell you that.
I'd imagine.
So, yeah, my drag queens are hysterical. And the thing that is misunderstood, especially right now, because there's so much confusion, I feel like, in that world, drag, trans, straight, gay, there's all these pronouns. I will tell you, true drag is just dudes in dresses. And the drag queens that I most often work with are just dudes in dresses. They are not easily offended. They don't get all freaked out when you say something kind of ignorant to them, because what do we know? We're just small town people up here. We don't know what to say,
Yeah.
So it makes it even more fun. And the amount of straight guys that come to those shows, and have so much fun. And I'm like, what happened to you? In the beginning, I went to most all of them, and I would watch these guys come in and cross their arms. I'm like, what did she drag me to? And then all of a sudden, they're holding up dollars and sticking them down their bras. And I'm like, wow, what? Jeez.
I don't know. That sounds like my. We need.
I think it'd be fun.
I need to come to one before I participate in one.
Stay tuned, folks. Stay tuned.
With the comedy series, you also do some fundraising.
Yeah. Lots of fundraising. God. You know what? Actually, somebody asked me the other day. They said, how much money do you think you guys have raised? I got to tell you, this is crazy, because I know it's over $1 million, which is crazy. That's
amazing.
A crazy number. We did a big fundraiser with Whaley's Children Foundation, and it was almost $200,000. It was crazy. But Pink Night through Flint, Hurley Health, Breast Navigation, we've hundreds of thousands with them. But locally, even the small stuff, that's what actually gets me excited. senior class one year in Tawas, of all places, was having a hard time coming up for their senior night where they get locked in the school and they do a bunch of fun stuff. And a lady that had happened to come to a bunch of my shows, she's like, do you have any way to help us raise money? We need like $4 or $5 grand. That's really it. And I was like, yeah, let's put on a show. Here's what we do. We've learned what raffles work, which ones don't. You know, you can give stuff away. You can do 50-50s. We come in and do the comedy show. We do a ticket split. Oh my gosh. And it was so cool because even though that was an adult night raising money for their high schoolers, a bunch of the high schoolers sent me pictures from the lock-in.
That's awesome.
And they're like, thank you so much for getting us here. And I was like, oh, dude, your parents did it, man. They're the ones that did it. But comedy just really brings people together. And I feel really lucky, you know, to be doing it because it's fun for people. It's super fun.
So I found out today, you have 7,000 YouTube subscribers?
I do.
To me, that sounds like a lot because Small Town Grit, we're at 100. We're like, oh my gosh. Like how's that journey happen?
Oh, it takes a minute, dude. It takes a minute. Like,
yeah, I mean,
where are you guys at right now? You're over a couple hundred already.
No, we have 100.
Okay.
Yeah. But even like TikTok,
Yeah.
what are you at TikTok?
78,000.
That's crazy. I just heard today they might take TikTok down, though. Is that true?
They've been saying that since the pandemic.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we go in waves with that. I think there's money exchange somewhere, and then all the rumors disappear.
Yeah.
You know, the problem with TikTok is it is very fun. It's an easy platform to really go off on, especially if you're into something like really niche-y. What's that word? Niche?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that makes it fun, but the problem is the people that abuse it. I mean, there has been some really awful things publicized on there. And you think about even some of the greatest comedians that have, you know, been canceled. You know, a lot of that starts with TikTok clips. They cut out all the words and make it to fit their narrative. Yeah. And then there you go. So funny story about TikTok, actually. Do you know during the pandemic, Matt Rife and I hit 25,000 followers on the same day.
Matt Rife.
It was super cool. So there was a moment in time before he was like Matt Rife.
Yeah. Is he the hottest thing right now?
He's still pretty big. I mean, his wave is kind of moving right now. I mean, a lot of comedians have caught on, and we need to. What people don't know is in comedy shows, people have been doing crowd work forever. That's always been a thing.
Yeah.
There's some comedians that are very good at it. It makes it very personal for the room and the people that are there. And there's some that just aren't. And they're very good writers, and they write jokes, and they just fire through jokes. When Matt Rife started posting all that, that crowd work in the comedy world, people are like, whoa, we've been doing that forever. I'm like, yeah, but he's actually showing it off. Right. That's awesome. Yeah. So
I saw an interview with him. It was probably a couple months ago, but he was at the point of almost giving up on comedy. And I don't know if he got a gig or something went viral. I think that's what happened. Something went viral on TikTok or whatever it was, and that one little moment, he was at that line, that crossroad.
He was done.
And I think every business owner is that way, and you're probably that way too, right? You're just like, I think I should give up.
Why am I doing this?
Yeah. And then it's like, oh, then I got a gig, and then you get a little momentum. And
well, how many TikTok followers does Matt Rife have now? Because I can tell you, Melissa Hager's in the 70,000s. I'm pretty sure he has an M after his.
Oh, probably.
2 million, 3 million. It's pretty high up there. So I do hang on to that one little fact of
18.5.
18.5 million. Yeah, so we had that one day together. We don't even have that many people around here. Like,
No.
You know, I will tell you, during the pandemic, there was during the pandemic was just a horrible time, especially for comedians. Like, we feed off the energy of people, and it was just awful. And we lost a couple great comedians that we lost. They just couldn't take it, and it just bothers me. I was trying to constantly check in on people and pump them up, and I got my family, and I got my friends and local people. We were all still trying to get together, but some of them big cities, man, they just shut right down. They were done. And I got to talk to Mark Ridley and kind of interview him, and he told me, he said, Melissa, I'll tell you, the more that you grow as a comedian, you will have to choose between the comedy series and Melissa Hager, the comedian. You're not going to be able to do both because there's no way to produce that high quality of shows and put yourself out there and run the roads like a true comic would have to do. And I got to tell you, I almost took it as a challenge. Mm-hmm. And I was like, disagree. So do I make as much money or have as many followers or am as popular as the big comics? No. But the following I have here in Michigan, some of them would lay down on railroad tracks for me. I mean, I would rather have something tight-knit and loyal. I mean, that's how business is better that way anyways. Mm-hmm. Think about the loyal followers of IRD versus a loyal follower of Menards. You know what I mean? That's not even going to be comparable.
Right.
Like, sure, okay, you got all the big box stuff, but who is actually going to do anything and everything to wait for you to be able to do their job?
Yeah. Well, I think we also talk about how we collaborate together.
Yes.
All businesses. Like you had a little event for Greta Van Fleet, or like a
fan party. Yeah, it was a fan party. Yeah.
So you're like, I need some stages.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I got some trailers.
Yeah.
So I'm like, we done up some trailers and we hauled them all over there.
That was crazy.
Yeah. But
when you come wheeling in with those, I was like, what? Wait, dude, that actually looks like a stage. I was trying to gear the families up, like, now listen, this might be a little podunky, but it's okay. It's good. It'll be great. We'll dress it up. We'll put skirting on it. And you came in with actual stage. I mean, they looked really nice.
Yeah, they were simple, awesome. But they were good. They're perfect for it. And then it was kind of funny because we talked about as we were leaving, we're like, this could turn into like a bigger event, bring some stages in, have a few acres, and before you know it, we could have this big. Not that I think kind of like back in the day when we were kids, how we partied,
like
right?
The field parties.
Yeah, field party.
Mm-hmm. I thought of a name for that too. I'm not going to say it out loud because
save it.
Yeah, we'll save it. But
darn YouTube, somebody will get a hold of it. But yeah, I got the name, and so one of the games I want to play is the cow patty bingo, where you have you ever played that?
No,
I think it'd be
I've
so
heard
fun.
About it. Or what's the donkey one? The donkey basketball or something? you ever hear of that one? I've never seen that either.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah,
we'll have a mullet contest. Oh my gosh, it's gonna be so fun. Who can smoke a pack of cigarettes first?
I don't know that, but I mean anything's possible. I'll have to get a note from my mom to go pick up the smokes.
You have to pay to enter, and then that money goes to the Cancer Society.
So what's your connection with Greta Van Fleet? Because I know you've had some interactions. You guys done some fundraising. You've done a little bit of community awareness. And they're local too, right?
Yeah, they're from Frankenmuth.
Yeah.
So that's a very small world thing. When I was looking for a venue for my first show, I was actually still living out in Millington at the time. Everybody was adamant that I should do it in Frankenmuth because they have traffic and there's people down there. Well, I had done real estate for kind of a long time, and I worked at Century 21 in Frankenmuth. So I just called up some of the business owners I knew looking for recommendations. Well, Bavarian Inn wants it clean. That wasn't going to work, I didn't think, because I was like, well, this is kind of an adult thing, And then my buddy Zach had just opened Prost. It hadn't been around super long, I don't think, at that point. And I said, Zach, I just want to try comedy up here. And he said, I still tease him to this day. He's like, yeah, I don't think that's our vibe. And I was like, wah, wah, wah. So to this day, I'm like, how's your vibe over there? Right. Yeah. So then somebody said, check out Fisher Hall. There's a band locally that always played there on the weekends and just kind of left the doors open when the hall wasn't rented. And I think they're going on tour. I think they signed with a big label. And I was like, what? From here? Really? Mm-hmm. So I called Fisher Hall. They connected me to Karen. And Karen met me, gave me a tour. Turns out her boys, 3 of the band members were her sons. So I got to know them through that. Karen and I worked very closely together for that whole first couple years. We learned a lot about putting those shows on, especially in Frankenmuth, family fun town. We weren't super dirty, but we did swear a little bit. And one time we got a review from somebody that said that the F word was used 3 times, and they were not happy about that. And I was like, oh, we should probably put on the poster adult language. Like, I didn't even know to do that.
Yeah, no, you can learn and adapt 100%.
Yeah. So, and I learned quickly that it costs a lot, to bring these big guys in and first of all, to pay them, and then to, have the hall, and then to put them in a hotel somewhere, And I was like, I need a sponsor. I need somebody to jump on board. And actually, Adam Barden was one of the very first guys that was like, I'm in. What can I do? And I was like, I need money. If I could talk about you in exchange for money. And he was in, man. He was all about it. We did so much stuff together. And then Chuck Stadler, Lazy Dog Pizza, another cool Vassar guy, and Schaefer and Beer Line right there in Frankenmuth. So it was really cool how it all worked out. Now it's branched into all these other things. I mean, that's a whole different department of the comedy series is the sponsors. We do these little towns like Tawas or Lupton, Michigan, or Houghton Lake. And in that town, we have a local company. We advertise. They give us some money, and we advertise them at the show. And it's cool for them because it's a different way of advertising. It's super affordable. And nobody can fast forward the commercial. You know, they have to sit there and listen
they're
to
right
it.
There, so they gotta listen.
And they love. And if I'm in the show, I always make fun of them a little bit. And I loved when Adam stopped coming to the shows, and that always made me sad. And I think one too many times he heard me tell everybody how his stores were my favorite place to get hammered and nailed. And he would just like sink into his chair. I'm like, there he is. That's Adam right there. That's the guy. Yeah. So.
If you want to get nailed, go see him.
Yeah, exactly. He won't screw you though. Oh my God, we did a whole thing about caulk, and I was like, "Yeah, this is going too far."
What kind of caulk do you like?
Well, I needed black caulk because of the trim on my outside windows, and he only had white caulk, and I was like, "Of course, in Frankenmuth, you would only have the white caulk." But I really need black caulk, the dark black caulk. One. And did you know those tubes are bigger? That's crazy. White comes in such small tubes. I don't know if Corey even gets it. It's okay.
I get it. 100% get it. All right, moving on.
Anyways.
So, let's talk about Tawas. You brought up Tawas a few times.
Oh my gosh, our little campground.
Yeah, I was part of that campground that you're in. I don't even know what you even call it. I call it a mafia. I've called it a community. I've called it a lot of things.
My friends visited from Georgia, and he called it the Redneck Riviera. The whole week. And you know, some of them people in there are pretty serious about their camping. They didn't like that. Every time he said it, I was like, shh, don't say that.
Yeah, it's kind of unique because there's like these little cliques. You know,
yeah,
everybody.
There totally is.
This little neighborhood has their little space, and this little neighborhood. And nobody really blends together, but everybody gets together.
Unless they're super drunk, and then you just walk around the whole campground looking for a campfire. That's me. But anyways, there is groups in there, and the way it works with moving around and getting your spaces, it takes a while for the groups to get together.
It took us 3 years to finally get the space we wanted.
Yeah,
and
isn't that crazy?
And then we got a place in Caseville, and we had to leave. And
you were gone.
Yeah,
I know.
And then the neighbors are like crying. They're like, "Don't leave us.
Don't go."
And I'm like, "It's all right."
Yeah. Speaking of that, for cheeseburger, I need a place to crash.
I got a spot for you.
Okay, good, perfect.
Yeah. You got to bring some caulk though. I need that. I got some projects up there.
Brown caulk. What do we want?
The big black one.
I mean, after the parade, if I go out, I can find any caulk you need.
Yeah, so camping's a little bit different for you because you have to camp during the week because you're on the road on the weekends a lot for the most part, right? Because that's
we
what you're doing.
Started in Tawas during the pandemic, so I was just losing my mind. And my father-in-law had bought a camper they were using for hunting, and it was just sitting in the yard. It was a really nice camper, and it was only used for 2 months out of the fall. And I said, hey, could I take that to a campground so me and the boys could do something? I can't sit here. I'm just going nuts. By that time, we were like a year in already. And 2 weeks to serve the curve, my ass. Anyways, God. So, yeah, we started that summer, and oh, my God. So before anybody knew, like, what I did or who I was at all, I just had so much fun at the bonfires. So much fun. And then I remember a couple times, especially the first couple weekends, they were like, you're so funny. You should be a comedian. I was like, I know, crazy, right? But them people up there messed with me bad. Really bad. They also knew I knew nothing about camping. Not a thing. So like I was panicking. I didn't know that you should use a certain kind of toilet paper. I was just using regular toilet paper, and every time I flushed, I did see this white mound kind of making its way up. I had no idea. So that was a whole ordeal because I had to borrow someone's broom and take the handle off, and I was doing this whole thing. It was terrible. So they all like teepeed me one day, of course. And then I remember the one time they were all out washing their campers, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, is that a thing? We have to wash these things." And they're like, "Well, you got to put the bug spray on. Don't you have the bug spray?"
Yeah.
I was like, "What bug spray?" They're like, "It's a wax, and it's only for camping, and it makes the bugs slide off. They can't stick to your camper." So guess who went down to the hardware store asking for that? I looked like an idiot.
Yeah, did you get the windshield wiper fluid too? Or the blinker fluid?
The guy even said, he goes, "I think these people might be messing with you." And I was like, "No, they were doing it. They were watching. They're like, what's the bottle look like?"
You're telling me the story, and I'm like, I never knew about this stuff.
Yeah, see?
I was actually thinking about it too, because I'm like, we had a camper, and I'm like,
It's a joke.
yeah, it's a joke. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not
they
a
were
real
messing
thing.
with me.
Yeah.
It wasn't even real. I know.
Because the bugs are terrible. They're like the
They
mayflies.
are.
Oh
The
my
mayflies
gosh,
are
it's
crazy.
like you'll eat them when you walk out as
Uh-huh.
you're walking down the street.
They're
So you got a new camper.
Yeah.
And I remember this too. And she's like, "Yeah, I got a new camper." And I'm like, "Okay." And there's restrictions on length in this campground. And I swear to you, this thing's 10 foot longer than any camper there. It's not even parked in the parking spot. It's parked on an angle. And I don't even know how they even let you.
They weren't there. But I know. Part of the reason it looks so big, okay, is it's parked sideways versus everybody else is this way. We're in the one spot in the middle that the lot goes a different way. So I will say that's part of it.
It is a little bit. It's on a peninsula.
But yeah,
her little lot is.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, so I was searching around because we started out with that little camper with my father-in-law, and then he wanted to take it, and I wanted to stay in there. I had already had lots of fun in there. So I started looking around. Well, I don't know anything about anything. I didn't think there was like measurements you needed to have. I just knew this one was a good deal, and the guy would bring it up to Tawas because I didn't have any way to move it. And Bob, our maintenance guy there in the campground,
Bob's good people.
I messaged him and I was like, "Hey, Bob, I think I got a new camper, so I'm coming in." And he's like, "Okay." And you know what happens in there is when a new camper moves in, they all set up their chairs and they watch.
I bet.
Yeah, I had no idea that this was going to be a whole ordeal. Well, it comes in, and I heard them all groaning. They're like, "Whoa, that ain't going to go. That's not going to work. And I was like, "What are you guys talking about?" They're like, "You might as well turn that thing around and get right on out of here." And but yeah, we got it in. It was a tight fit, and it's on an angle. It's not straight. But I've been warned. That lot is never going to have that size again. I'm grandfathered in as long as it's there, but not anymore.
Yeah. So what's the next steps for Melissa?
I don't know. Just keep going at it. I love seeing people be happy. So hopefully we can, I feel like I do a lot of personal development. I know that you do too. And I think that keeps your head straight, especially in this crazy world.
Yeah.
And I think that it really doesn't. I've helped a lot of comedians make a lot of money. I've helped a lot of comedians get a lot of followers. But I got to tell you, the most important thing to me is how we've made people feel. I think that's probably the most memorable, I would think. And I just want to leave something positive behind. I don't think we know when our last day is. And it seems like people get snatched off this earth so fast. I just want it to be positive and something that maybe at least a couple generations might say, "Yeah, she was pretty cool." We
think you're cool.
She was all right,
Even though you're from Millington. I won't hold that against you.
I know. Millington people are like, "Why do you tell people you're from Frankenmuth?" And I'm like, "Wouldn't you?" I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding. Not. I am. No, hey. I enjoyed being here. Thank you so much for having me.
I love the hair color.
Do you?
Yeah, and we're going to get a picture of your Jeep too.
Oh the smile truck.
Yeah, is that what you call it, the smile truck?
I call it the smile truck.
The Jeep Gladiator?
Yes.
Do you like it?
I do. I get made fun of a lot. People say it's not a real truck. Look at he said it's cute.
It's cute.
It's cute.
It's cute.
It's fun. I like it. It's a little obnoxious. Hard to blend in.
It is hard to blend in.
Yeah. You go to the hardware store and they're like, hey, funny lady, where's the comedy show? And you're like, I'm just here for cock.
The black cock.
See, I got to seal stuff up, you know?
Yeah.
Match.